Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Tonight we are on the south side of Chicago as the Royals begin a 3-game series with the White Sox. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Sudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. The Royals lost a tough one last night, 1-0 to the Chicago Cubs. And now on to the White Sox. It's going to be a completely different atmosphere here tonight compared to last night. But these are not meaningless games, especially with these two teams this year.
No, and I think the Royals offense found a pitcher they could feast off of. At least if you go on the past history, it'd be interesting to see if they can hit the ball where it's pitched. Interesting matchup for a lot of reasons. Number one, both guys are going into free agency. They're running out of time to make a case for a big payday. Number two, the Royals want to make sure that Johnny Cueto stays on track in his last two starts. And for Jeff Samardzija, he's coming off a one-hit shutout, Hud, but his ERA this year is over 5. It's been ballooned, and partly because of the Royals. Let's watch him facing the Royals this year. Okay, there's an opposite field swing there. Okay, there's a wild pitch that scored a run. He's got some pretty good stuff, but there's another inside-out swing. Okay, Kane going up the middle. They're hitting it where it's pitched. Now later in this, Mustafa's hit that dead center. Watch these guys pull it, though. When he's up in the zone, your eyes will recognize that, and here comes the power. So if they can just simply not try to do too much against Samardzija, I think they can get that offense rolling again. After 5 bad starts, Johnny Cueto's been very good in his last 2. Let's see if he can continue that tonight. And Joel and Monty will discuss Cueto when we come back.
April 6th, all smiles, and then the Royals tore apart Jeff Samardzija. 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, and a packed house of Royals fans. And maybe a little of that stuff with Samardzija and Kane started right there. Those fans went home happy after a 10-1 win. And it might be a little different here in Chicago, but we might actually have a situation with more Royals fans. Welcome back to the Windy City. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. Ryan said different atmosphere than last night. Weather's different. Venue's different. There won't be a lot of people here. But, Monty, there may be more Royals fans here.
From what we see, there are definitely more Royals fans at this stage to see these Royals take on the White Sox, who the Royals haven't had a lot of fun with them yet this season.
Well, they went cheering as loud as they could when Johnny Cueto and everyone else walked out there. What are you looking for from Cueto tonight?
Well, I want to see him pick up right where he left off in his last 2 starts. And here's Johnny Cueto, a guy that's slated to pitch on Sunday, which means right now, Yordano Ventura would have Game 1 in postseason. Johnny Cueto would have Game 2.
Jeff Samardzija might be his last start for the Chicago White Sox. Can the Royals get him one more time? First pitch from U.S. Cellular coming up next.
Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. And it finally feels like late September baseball. Jackets, light jackets. But last night it was warm and muggy on the north side. Here's the Royals lineup tonight with Kendrys Morales returning to the designated hitter's role. He had to start the game on the bench last night with the National League rules. The Royals were shut out in 11 innings by the Cubs last night. And now tonight, Jeff Samardzija, and the Royals have had a big season against him so far this year.
Yes, they have. But, you know, you can take all the numbers that you're seeing recently about Samardzija. You know, he's got the highest ERA since the All-Star break. You can throw all that out. This guy's a competitor. He's taken today like it could be his last White Sox appearance, and it very well could be. But he's a battler. We'll see if he can execute his pitches.
He'll be pitching to Giovanni Soto. They were together with the Cubs, and they were together briefly last year with the A's. So Soto knows Samardzija as well as anybody. And the first pitch of the game is a fastball strike to Ben Zobrist. Zobrist was 0 for 5 last night. Cubs pitchers racked up 14 strikeouts. Pulled foul, and it is, if it's not half Royals fans here tonight, it might be more than half.
Gotta love it. Look at all the smiles. People are happy. There's one other thing that's missing, though, and that's several runs. Get them in the game. was too bad last night. The Royals couldn't manufacture a run or get a run, so we could hear the teeth from the fans that were at Wrigley Field. We didn't get a chance to really hear them. We heard some chants, some great loud chants, but if you don't score any runs, it's hard for them to get excited. It's got to change tonight.
Fouled back again, still 0-2. And 1 ball, 2 strikes. Samardzija had perhaps the best start of his career in his last start on Monday, a 1-hit shutout at Detroit, and he threw just 88 pitches. But the start before that, he gave up 10 earned runs in 3 innings against the A's. So Robin Ventura and the White Sox, I'm sure, have no idea what they're going to get from Samardzija tonight.
No, and by looking at just the 6 pitches he's thrown here to Zobrist, several of those are elevated and they're up in the zone. He's got to be able to work his slider down and his split finger down. Those are 2 good key pitches for him.
Strike 3 call. Adam Hammery is the home plate umpire. Last night, first pitch at Wrigley Field was 79 degrees and it was muggy. Rain, wind earlier today, and we begin tonight at 59 degrees with winds out of the northeast at 15 miles an hour. One out to Alex Gordon.
You see that fastball, you know, he's got pretty much a lot of giddy up on that fastball. He's going to average 94. That's 96. He's a strong young man, but you know, it doesn't matter strength. You've got to finesse. You got to keep that ball down. Fastballs, they're hitting the majority of those. Sliders, his cutter, you know, his cutter's an effective pitch, but if it's elevated, any of that stuff's going to get hit. It's a good cutter there.
Was 0 for 4 with a walk, and that walk came in the first inning. Royals got 2 walks in the first inning against Kyle Hendricks, and that was the only inning where the Royals had more than 1 base runner. There's a base hit into right field. He got a slider out over the plate. So the Royals have as many hits against Samardzija, 2 batters into the game tonight, than Samardzija gave him in 9 innings on Monday.
Well, there's the pitch that they want to wait on. He's going to give it to him, and at times Samardzija overthrows, especially early in the game. And when you overthrow, you have a tendency to leave the ball up. And that's what they want to look for.
And now Lorenzo Cain. He's our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda. This year and in his career, he has been at his best against the White Sox. And you know, Cain has a little extra motivation to get a hit off of Samardzija, and you know, Samardzija has a little extra motivation to get Cain out.
Yep, but so far Lorenzo Cain's done the most damage in the confrontations between these two. Look him up.
On opening day, Samardzija pitched for the White Sox at Kauffman Stadium, and after a Mike Moustakas home run, Samardzija drilled Lorenzo Cain. That was the beginning of the bad blood between the 2 teams. And then they were nose to nose here in Chicago during a bench clearing incident started by Yordano Ventura and Adam Eaton. 2 down as Garcia makes the play in right field.
That's a pretty disgusted look right there.
Gordon at first, 2 down to Eric Hosmer. Pitch fading away from Hosmer.
Split finger, it's about 85 miles an hour, so it's a pretty firm pitch. That pitch, and that's what he uses against lefties. That first one there to Haas, it goes away from him. They'll use it to righties as well.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And you mentioned we've talked about Soto, the veteran catcher, how he just stays on one knee and guides it back to Samardzija. That's to take a little pressure off of his injured knee from last season. And he thinks it's more comfortable for him. He doesn't have to get up and throw the ball back to the pitcher and then squat back down every pitch. Makes sense.
Good swing and a pitch up. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Samardzija's going to give you something up to hit for sure. Each at bat, one player, every hitter is going to get something. But you just, that something can't be missed. Like Alex Gordon, he got that elevated fastball and hit it. Put it in play.
Alex made a move towards second base.
Samardzija's very athletic. He's got a nice little pickoff move. I think he's got one even better than that one he just showed. He's quick over there. Cutters will come in on the left-handed bats too. He likes to cut those balls in on lefties.
Just missed. Soto held it out there and maybe even tried to frame it and pull it into the strike zone.
Samardzija had to do a little two-step there. He was like, oh, okay.
Broken bat. And a fly ball to left field. Thompson comes up to make the play. Royals get a 1-out single. Scoreless in the first. The White Sox are coming up against Johnny Cueto. Planning on much better than this. White Sox 10 games below 500. Long since been eliminated from the Central after spending all that money during the offseason. And they'll just have to regroup and shoot for 2016. And the biggest disappointment has been offensively. The White Sox felt like in this ballpark, with the players that they put together, that they would be able to hit home runs. And they are second from the bottom in the American League in that category. And we'll see how they do tonight against Johnny Cueto, who's going for his 3rd straight quality start after 5 bad starts. He is 0-1 against Adam Eaton.
Yep, there's no reason that we should expect anything less. Him and Salvador Perez finally are on the same page. Salvi helping him with the low target, but really, a
little confusion there. Cueto was upset because time had been called, and Adam Hammery is making it clear. Don't take that out on Eaton. That was my call. Good change up, and it's 0-2 on Eaton.
Yeah, mentioning Salvi, with his low target and stuff, that's important for a visual for a pitcher. But it's Johnny Cueto who's making the adjustments. He's the one who's telling himself he's got to survive in this American League down in the zone. His ERA is 2 points higher in the American League than it was in the National League. Different when you got all 9 hitters and no pitcher hitting in there. Throws all his pitches to both sides of the plate at any count. Different looks. Got the quick pitch. Over rotates the hips. Works fast. He gets it and goes.
Good pitch in on the hands. And Escobar throws out Eaton. Here are the Royals defensively tonight, presented by Ford. And nobody is more familiar with this ballpark than Alex Rios.
Played several games. This is a small ballpark. It's home run hitting friendly in the summer, but it is tonight because the wind's blowing out.
Rios played parts of 5 seasons here in Chicago, coming over from the Blue Jays. Abreu, he got jammed, but he's so strong he's able to muscle it out into center field. He's at first base with 1 out.
Well, when Alex got the base hit, there was a lot louder ovation for Alex and the Royals than that base hit there for Abreu. Fastball, cutter, changeup, slider, curve. He's got them all, and all those deceptive time delays with his body make him effective.
On to Melky Cabrera, who will serve as the White Sox designated hitter tonight. Melky's had a much better second half than first half. So on one hand, the White Sox and their fans can use that for inspiration. They have hit much better in the second half. But the counter to that is when they needed these guys to hit, it wasn't there. And now that the pressure's off and they're out of it, his bats are starting to warm up. It also includes 3 walks for Melky Cabrera against Johnny Cueto, and he lays off the changeup down. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Melky's 6 for 15. So that's some pretty decent numbers.
On the ground is Zobrist. Out at second. Double play. Cueto faces only 3 in the first inning. Kansas City. Thank you. As we go to the top of the second inning and look at our Toyota League leaders for tonight. White Sox, and we talked about the problems they've had on offense. On the pitching side, they've been just fine, especially the starting pitchers, leading the league in innings and quality starts. Middle of the pack when it comes to ERA, but for the most part, the starters have been able to take quite a bit of a workload away from the relievers with all the innings. Kendrys Morales. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, you know, with a pitching staff like that, and those offensive players they picked up, they thought they had enough to contend in this division. A lot like the Cleveland Indians. Their starting staff is as strong as any in baseball. But you got to have that offense too.
Trace Thompson, very good outfielder. Didn't have the best angle on that ball, but makes the play.
You saw how that ball, the wind pushed it towards the wall. And that was just a routine pop-up what it looked like off the bat. Get something airborne tonight, you might get yourself a big league homer. Thompson's a very good athlete. Doesn't have any outfield assists, but he's got a good arm.
The infield shifts on Mike Moustakas, and he takes outside. Moustakas has hit 2 home runs this year against Samardzija. Maybe none bigger than his home run against Samardzija on opening day, with a home run to the opposite field for the first time in his career, and that really set the stage for this entire 2015 season.
Sure did. I remember when he hit that ball, how confident Moose looked, how he looked in the dugout after he hit it, and he just felt really proud. And whenever a hitter gets a home run in your first at bat, your first hit of the game, that really sends you off the confidence chart. You get excited about that. You go, all right, this is going to be my year. And for Moose, it has been.
Two and two.
12-year pitching coach Donnie Cooper has taken a page from Dave Island, the Royals pitching coach, on Samardzija. Telling Samardzija he needs a little more hip turn to create more angles. And we remember Dave Island did that with Guthrie. So watch Samardzija just really concentrate on that hip. He's turning his hip further back than he has before. That's going to work. That wind pushing that out, that little doinker, turned into a knock. For Samardzija and his stuff and the pitches that he has, there's no way he should be getting lit like a Christmas tree this year. You see the little hip turn there? Everything. He's trying to make some adjustments. Here we are this late in the season.
Moustakas had a 2-hit game last night against the Cubs. And now on with 1 out in the second inning for Salvador Perez.
Also, Johnny Cooper's working on that arm angle too. Sometimes Samardzija, he drops down a little bit sidearm, and that leaves his slider flat with lateral movement, not downward movement. So he's reminding him every so often to get back up on top with your secondary pitches, so you get more downward angle, more break. That stayed up.
You mentioned that he's a very good athlete. Of course, he was an All-American wide receiver at Notre Dame, and pitches with a football mentality, which can be both good and bad. There's another base hit into center field. The Royals have 2 on with nobody out. Here's Dale Swaim. He was Samardzij's manager with the Cubs, and he used a term which I thought was great. He said Samardzija sometimes would get caught up with guerrilla pitching.
I understand that term.
So just all muscle and strain, and almost like he was grunting out there like a gorilla, and they had just kind of use the mental side of the football mentality, but not necessarily the physical side of a football mentality.
And that's something that Samardzija's got to continue to work on as his career goes on. It's not something that he can just turn on and off. I mean, once you're a gorilla pitcher and you have that mentality, it takes a little bit of time to understand.
That was a called strike. Alex Rios is asking, did I swing or did I take that first strike?
Looked off the plate. I think he called it.
And that's low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, Samardzija says, for the most part, I'm trying to fight that football mentality. He says when you hit the crossroads of a game or a season, you can always just push a little more and play a little harder in football. Run a little faster. But in baseball, it's not the case. A lot of times it's the opposite. You need to pull back and take a second deep breath. Collect yourself.
That's hit well to right center field. Eaton will run it down. Moustakas will tag, and he'll go to third. So runners at first and third with 2 down, and Alcides Escobar is coming up. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Escobar chasing a first pitch slider. No balls and 1 strike. Carries a 6-game hitting streak into the game tonight after going 1 for 4 against the Cubs last night. And he's hitting .391 over that stretch. He's off the slider, 1-1.
Excuse me, Ryan. Like the last 4 hitters in this inning, all of them have stayed in the middle of the field for the most part. Morales flew out to the opposite field, but I like that. They're waiting. They're not trying to jump him and ambush him. They're trying to hit him where it's pitched. And we showed you in the open of our broadcast the success that Royals hitters have had, mainly hitters going to the opposite field.
Fastball over the outside, 1-2. Still alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Royals, this is their situation. They have a .277 average with 2 outs as a team. Keep the line moving. Escobar fight off the tough ones. Wait for the cookie.
Ooh, that was a hanger. Got Soto in the mask. Soto's going to go out and say, hey, don't throw that one again.
Yeah, no, that was saying hit me all over it. Esky, just the little wrinkle that Samardzija put on it threw him off just a tad, but man, that's right where you want to look. Middle.
Big circle on the ball.
Yep.
Good thing hitter, bad thing pitcher.
Bad thing pitcher. Smaller the dot, the better the slider.
Escobar, like Lorenzo Cain, has done some of his best work both this year and in his career against the White Sox. Got another hanger and lines it to center field and right at Eaton. So the Royals have 2 on with 1 out, and Rios and Escobar both lined to center field. Look at tonight's University of Kansas hospital injury report. Troy Tulowitzki with a cracked left shoulder blade took batting practice today and declared he would be ready for the postseason. So we'll see. And Adam Wainwright, so far, or so much for Wainwright being done for the year. He's going to pitch out of the bullpen perhaps as early as tomorrow.
You know how good that's going to be for them to have that arm no matter where, starting or in the pen. Solid.
Both the Blue Jays and the Cardinals lost a game to weather today. Trace Thompson, and Robin Ventura has the rookie batting 4th. Long hesitation by Cueto. 2 balls and 1 strike. Cueto allowed a 1-out single in the first inning and then got a double play from Melky Cabrera.
There's that little rocking chair. He's got a couple variations. There's a little quick pitch, slider.
That breaking ball stayed up. Kane goes back, all the way back at the wall. He got it! Lorenzo Cain rips off Trace Thompson and saves a run for Johnny Cueto.
Royals fans are loving that one. Heck, they haven't scored a run to give these Royals fans something to cheer about. But right here, you got to call the cops. That is incredible. I thought that ball was out of here on the line. Lorenzo Cain lined it up just perfectly. That would have hit that wall and gone over. Most likely. But there's an out. Johnny Cueto made a mistake, and Lorenzo was able to help him out. Picked him up.
And now strike to Alexei Ramirez.
Johnny Cueto blowing a bubble there. That messed with Alexei. Look at him. He's laughing. He's saying, hey, that guy's blowing a bubble out there. That's a good sign for Cueto. He's having fun.
Ooh, shot foul into the camera well over on the first base side. And maybe right down the stairs.
Woohoo! Watch out. It's coming in hot.
Changeup is low. Alexei Ramirez, after a long run with the White Sox, will be a free agent at the end of this year. And it appears that the White Sox are going to move on. White Sox at Kauffman Stadium in early September. They swept a series from the Royals, and Ramirez had a huge series. On the ground to Escobar. 2 outs. And that really didn't give the White Sox much of a lift. They swept the Royals in KC. They have not won a series since. Well, Royals fans, as you know, StubHub and the StubHub app is personalized just for you. Now with the app, you can select your teams and artists, discover new favorites, and grab tickets wherever you want. Get to your app store today and get the StubHub app. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. Now Garcia. Aviseo Garcia takes ball 1.
That last pitch to Alexei was exactly where Cueto wants to stay. Guy's going to square it up. He's going to hit it right at somebody down in the zone. And that's been Cueto's problem when he was in his little slump as everything was elevated. Now he seems like he's finding his rhythm in the lower half of the zone, which is where every pitcher wants to be.
Now Moustakas dives, throws in the dirt, and Hosmer pulls it out. The Royals put on a defensive clinic in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and with that, Cueto goes 1-2-3.
These guys are brushing up their skills for October, believe it.
All year.
Well, it's the fever. We all got the fever. Yeah, just on cue.
Listen to that. Well, the best they can do on this side of town is just boo Royals fans. Zobrist pulls it to Abreu. Samardzija kicks the bag. Zobrist is 0 for 2. One down in the top of the 3rd inning. Let's welcome in Joe Goldberg.
Well, guys, had a chance to talk with Ned Yost before the game about Alex Gordon, and he said, I've been around Alex as long as any player that I've managed here, and when he gets hot, he is red hot, and when he gets cold, he is ice cold. And remember, Alex came back from the DL, and in his 6 games back, he went 9 for 18, was batting .500, and then since then until tonight, 10 for 60. But he had a hit in his first at bat, and the one thing Ned said about Alex is it can turn with the snap of a finger, and suddenly he can heat up really, really quick. That's what Ned is hoping for, and Alex for that matter, heading into the playoffs.
Is there something about his swing that makes him streaky at times?
Yeah, at times he has a little bit too much of an uppercut, and the angle of his bat doesn't stay in the strike zone long. So when he levels his swing off, like that last swing he just took, and that base hit, hey, that's even a better swing there too. There's not a lot of arc uppercut in his bat. Now he tries to stay inside the ball, but sometimes the bat angle isn't level like this one here. Now see how level that swing was. Alex, his lower half never changes. It's all about his swing path.
Now, he missed 8 weeks, or 1 day shy of 8 weeks, with the groin injury. I don't remember as many broken bats this year as other years.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if that means anything or not. But
well, I think he's recognizing those inside pitches more, not swinging at them.
Right on cue. Full count. Lorenzo Cain will be next. Samardzija, with his one hit shutout in his last start, has now pitched 11 consecutive scoreless innings. And the Royals have gone 14 consecutive scoreless innings on offense. Going back to the end of the game on Sunday against Cleveland. Chop to Abreu, tough hop, and gets it to Samardzija. So back-to-back 3-1 groundouts. And now Cain comes up. The Royals have dominated the White Sox. They have won the last 5 season series, and they were on their way to just crushing Chicago this year. But our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard takes us back to the series at Kauffman Stadium when the White Sox shut out the Royals. Outscored the Royals by 18. Royals ERA was over 8. Royals were 10-3 against Chicago this year before that sweep, but it really didn't catapult the White Sox. They have not won a series since.
No, that's the best 3-game baseball span that the White Sox have played all year. Now the Royals, they've had a winning record in every month but this month. You can't win a title with one good series.
And they did everything in that series. They pitched, they hit, they had clutch hits, they played the best defense they've probably played all year.
I agree. That defense of theirs they were where every Royal hit the ball. It was just one of those series.
Outside to Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo fly to right in the first inning. Speaking of defense, he's made the defensive play of the game tonight, going up against the center field wall on a drive from Trace Thompson in the bottom of the second inning. Two and one. Lorenzo Cain, new career highs this year. Runs scored, hits, doubles, triples, home runs, RBIs, walks, and he's tied his career high in stolen bases. But maybe the most important of all the statistics is the one that made it happen. A new career high in games played.
Ed Yost has done a nice job with Lorenzo Cain this year, giving him plenty of off days to recharge his battery. That's done a wonderful job all over by able to rest in these guys. And of course, when they bank those early wins, they bank those early wins, that gave Ned a little cushion, gave him an opportunity to not have to crash and burn with these guys every single night. It's a good pitch there. That's a good two-seamer on the outer half. I bet he tries to do that same pitch.
There you go. There's the second deep breath. We're talking about when he feels like he's amped up, instead of just digging a little harder on a post route
in
South Bend. Here he has to take a second deep breath to calm himself down.
There it is. Deep breathing is key in any sport. You got to have that to calm the muscles, relax them.
Hold foul again.
It's all about being under control. Something a lot of players had a hard time with. And they still do. The football mentality affects a lot of guys when they play at a higher level. You know, high school is pretty good level. It's pretty good competition there. You know, if it's a 5A high school. But college football is a whole different animal. We were talking with Vance Wilson today earlier about Bubba Starling and how Bubba has that mentality, that football mentality. You know, Bubba, when he gets to the big leagues, he's going to have to learn how to pull that back a little bit as well.
Samardzija strikes out Kane. 2 strikeouts for Samardzija in 3 scoreless innings. Order online with Rapid Pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Well, we haven't had many cool nights for this time of year, but it's easy to know that it is late September when the lights are in full effect and the sun is down and the sky is black at first pitch. Days are getting shorter. Giovanni Soto leads off against Johnny Cueto. Soto has seen quite a bit of Cueto over the years. Played most of his career on the north side. Once a Rookie of the Year for the Cubs. He has 30 career at bats against Cueto. 2 balls and 1 strike.
He's got a home run off him in his career.
Nice play by a Royals fan with his St. Patty's Day Monarchs cap. Going onto the tarp to get a souvenir.
I think that cap was the cap that the Royals wore when they played the Oakland A's. Remember those the throwback days?
Kansas City A's cap. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. strike over the outside. 2-2 on Soto. High fastball is popped up. Lorenzo Cain is there. One down.
Johnny Cueto does a great job of hiding the ball. Keeps the ball behind him. The hitter can't see it. All he has to do is try to pick up that release point. And when he goes from the windup, he has all those delays in his delivery. Makes it tougher for the hitter to pick it up. Johnny Cueto, while in a Royals uniform, the righties have touched him up a lot more than the lefties. And that's really because of the cutter. His cutter, during his little time, his 5 starts where he wasn't pitching, was floating up on the top of the zone. It was right up there in the middle, and it was saying, "Hit me." So the righties really took advantage of it. And I noticed he hasn't used that cutter that much against righties.
This is Mike Olt. There's a cutter. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Speeds up on him and jam. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a good pitch there. That little boring 2-seam fastball in off a quick pitch. Really tough for a hitter to square that one.
Poked out to Zobrist. 2 down. Well, Royals fans, help us kick off another October. Come out to the K for Take the Crown. It's a postseason pep rally coming up a week from today, October 6th. It's open to all fans. It's a free event and will feature appearances from Dayton Moore and Ned Yost, player interviews from the field, highlights video, and a chance to catch batting practice before the Royals begin their journey to take the crown. And the gates will open at 11:15 a.m. Again, that's a week from today. 0-2 on Carlos Sanchez. Hitting .226, and he's 0 for his last 16. I wonder if the Reds announcers ever got used to that, because we've seen a lot of it since Cueto's been here, but I just laugh every time I see it.
Well, it takes incredible balance to do that. He's got strength, and he's on that back leg. And speaking of that back leg, Dave Island, great pitching coach for the Royals, likes to talk about standing tall on that back leg. During his period where he was getting lit up, he was collapsing that back leg, and it was leaving the ball up in the zone. So that's another reason or another adjustment that Cueto's been making. He's standing a little bit taller on his backside. Now allows a little more leverage downhill.
Really tied up Sanchez there. Still 3-2. It reminds me of playing tape ball in the backyard with your buddies, and they're trying to do something to mess you up, or facing your crafty uncle in a wiffle ball game at a family reunion.
Yeah, he's giving you all of the moves, the gyrations, and all the stuff to try to get you off balance. Same thing Cueto does, but you don't see many pitchers do that because they're not comfortable doing that. Nice. Whoa! Ooh, I guess it wasn't so nice. Sanchez didn't take one good swing that entire at bat. Somehow that was called a ball.
Telling Salvador Perez that it was low. Salvi really got low and gave Cueto a low target. And now down and away to Adam Eaton. You and I noticed last night broadcasting the game at Wrigley that it seems that Salvador Perez is not just creating a low target for Johnny Cueto, but he's doing that for all pitchers. We visited with Ned Yost about that before the game tonight, that Salvi's just such a big guy, and he is so focused at times on the game plan and the pitch sequence and the hitters who are up there that there are times where he forgets to give the pitcher a low target, and that is the job of the catcher, Ned was saying. And so it's been a nice reminder for Salvi to do that for all of the pitchers. And stroked into center field. Sanchez will stop at second base. Adam Eaton has a 2-out single. The White Sox have 2 on with 2 out.
Four-seam fastball straight is a string right down the middle for short, compact strokes. Salvi might have been a little bit too tall with his target there. But
here's Jose Abreu. He got jammed in single to center field in the first inning. Comes right at him and just missed inside.
He's got good movement on that pitch there in.
And to left center field. The White Sox will take the lead. Abreu drives in his 98th. So 2 outs and nobody on. That 3-2 pitch to Sanchez was big. He walks, Eaton singles, Abreu singles, and Chicago leads 1-0.
Okay, again, he took a little off this one, but it just stayed up in the zone. And you throw a pitch like that to Abreu, you're lucky that the ball stayed in the yard.
Strike to Melky Cabrera. He grounded into an inning-ending double play in the first inning. Late swing and a foul. 0-2. Still 0-2, an emergency swing by Cabrera to stay alive. First year of a 3-year contract with the White Sox. He has 12 home runs, 76 RBIs. Much better in the second half. As we talked about in the first inning tonight, that is true for several White Sox hitters. For a much better season offensively, the Chicago White Sox are last in the league in runs scored, and they're second from the bottom in home runs. A ballpark where even if you have an average offense, you should pile up the runs, especially during the summertime. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Strikes. The White Sox rally with 2 outs. They get a walk and 2 singles. And at the end of 3, Chicago leads 1-0. Royals are coming up in the 4th inning with Hosmer, Morales, and Moustakas.
The Royals looking to score their first run here in Chicago this week and hoping to pick up a half a game on the Toronto Blue Jays for home field advantage. Our Mazda game break, no highlights to show because the Blue Jays and Orioles postponed for rain. Doubleheader tomorrow. Marcus Stroman against Gonzalez, and then the nightcap there. They'll just play two right after one another, not a day-night doubleheader, and then a getaway. So we'll see what that does with Toronto. There are the best records, so this should sort itself out, weather pending tomorrow. A bunch of games postponed, including St. Louis and Pittsburgh in there. So chance for the Royals to pick up a half a game as we head down the final stretch.
All right, Joel. Eric Hosmer flied out to left field in the first inning. Royals have 3 singles in the first 3 innings against Samardzija. Two and two. And going back to the game on Sunday against Cleveland, the Royals have been held scoreless now in 15 consecutive innings.
Yeah, and what's typical is you try to hit home runs to come out of it. And the Royals, if it can beat Samardzija, they've got to go to the opposite field.
Up the middle, Ramirez throws across his body and gets Hosmer for the first out. "6'5", 225-pound Jeff Samardzija, 30 years old. Grew up in Northwest Indiana, so not far from here. As a White Sox fan. He spent almost all of his big league career pitching in Chicago, first for the Cubs and then briefly last year for the A's, and now at the White Sox. He got Morales on a fly ball to left field in the second inning. Tied him up. Garcia over from right, Eaton over from center. Center fielder has the priority, and Eaton makes a play for the second out. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com. You'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Moustakas with 2 down. He has 3 home runs, 7 driven in against the White Sox this year. And he is 3 for 5 the last 2 nights. Slider is in for a strike, 0-1.
He's starting the lefties out with a slider. And the righties. But he's been getting some fly ball outs. He's pitching effectively so far up in the zone. Swing at a fastball, 0-2. Now they're going to try and throw a pitch up to get him. Jam and backing out of play. So what the Royals offense have been seeing from pitching, last night, the Cubs starter, he had excellent stuff. Changeups and sinkers down in the zone, rarely missed at all. He was really working the lower half of the zone on the Royals, and they couldn't get anything done. Now Samardzija, he's having some success up in the zone. Just enough out. See, Soto, he's pointing out here, I want to bounce it now.
1-2. That's about as demonstrative as you're going to see a catcher. Especially in this era where there is so much concern about tipping pitches or giving pitches away too soon. I mean, that, I don't know if the dugout would trust Soto enough, but I mean, that was plenty of time where if he does that again, someone from the dugout could let Mike Moustakas know that it's going to be something off speed and it's going to be down in the dirt. 3-2. Left field. Thompson is there, and he's got it. Samardzija's knocked down the last 8 Royals. It is 1-0 Chicago. To be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here's the postseason picture as it stands right now. And 2 postseason teams were washed out. Toronto at Baltimore and St. Louis at Pittsburgh. Trace Thompson. It's a fair ball just inside the line. He's going to round first and hold. Alex Gordon got to the ball very quickly, and Thompson may have lost a home run his first time up on a play by Lorenzo Cain in center field. Now with a leadoff single in the 4th, he's 1 for 2.
Well, he lost a double here because he wasn't sure it was staying fair. Look at him. He stops and stays there, and that cost him a double. And, usually hitters, whenever they hit anything close, I mean, that wasn't even close to going foul. You're out of the box. There's a little break there for Cueto.
Alexei Ramirez grounded out to short first time. Snap throw to first. Thompson gets back.
Thompson has just 1 steal this year, but as this young man's career evolves and he continues to get more experience out here, he's got 15 to 20 steals in him.
Good pitch, good movement. 1-2 on Ramirez.
Yep, and nice low target by Sal. Hit the glove. That's where he wants to stay. Alexei hit a sharp ground ball to Escobar the first time up. He'd love to see that again.
The scoreboard says Sox fans make some noise, and all 17 of them are doing the best that they can. Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. There they are, just screaming their lungs out when that battle cry comes up on the scoreboard. Still 2-2. A lot of Royals fans decided to make a week of it, and remember when the Royals were in Chicago at the end of May, they had a Saturday game rained out, so they had rain check tickets, and a lot of Royals fans decided to come back, and being that it was a Monday game, decided to stick around and check out U.S. Cellular Field. They were not dressed like that last night at Wrigley Field. Game time temperature 79 degrees. It was muggy. I mean, it was still warm at the end of the game, and it was 11 innings. Left field, shallow, and that's down for a hit. Ramirez bloops it into left, and the White Sox have 2 on and nobody out.
Cost Ramirez an RBI. Yeah. Thompson runs out of the box. That's a double. He would have scored on that.
And now Cueto will buckle down with Abisail Garcia. He grounded out his first time. It required a diving play by Moustakas on the hole on the left side. Garcia's 0 for 1. Right over the inside for strike 1.
Garcia's grounded into 12 double plays this year. Cueto would like to roll up his second one of the night.
One and one. There's a ground ball. Escobar steps on the bag. Double play number 2.
Nice pitch to induce the ground ball. Jammed it inside. Took his lumber from him too. Initially, if he'd have barreled that ball would have probably went up the middle, but because he got it in enough, he was able to let Escobar do his thing.
Heck of an effort by Ramirez to break it up.
They know their season's over.
Soto takes outside, ball 1. Soto flied to center in the 3rd inning. And when Soto flied to center, that's one of just 2 flyouts so far for Cueto. So it's a good sign. The Royals learned when Cueto was struggling. They called the Cincinnati Reds. Ed Yost had a long talk with Brian Price, who was a very respected pitching coach before he became manager of the Reds. And that's when they started talking about the low target, that when Cueto is on, his 2-seam fastball and getting ground balls is a sign that he is at his best.
Johnny Cueto, he's got 95 in his arm, but he doesn't always pitch at 95. So he's got to really rely on that movement and keeping that ball down. And he has good movement in all parts of the plate.
Just in case you were wondering.
We'll see a shake and bake here. A little semi-quick pitch.
Pass Cueto. Backhanded Zobrist in time. So more ground balls, and Cueto needed them in the 4th inning after the White Sox opened the inning with 2 on and nobody out.
Nice play on the other side of the bag for Zobrist. Good on top throw.
Samardzija's coming off that 1-hit shutout against the Tigers, and now he's pitched 13 consecutive scoreless innings. And the Royals on offense, going back to Sunday, have been scoreless in 16 consecutive innings. Salvador Perez, Alex Rios, and Alcides Escobar. Fastball is a little bit high.
That's wheelhouse material right there. Salvi loves it there.
Salvi singled to center his first time up, and now a slider is in for a strike.
During the run of retiring the last 8, he's been successful with that get me over slider early in counts. So hitters can almost go up there and looking for that pitch.
Broken bat, and right to Thompson in left field. 1 down. Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.tv. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD with MLB.tv Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. That includes real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Rios lined out to center field in the 2nd inning.
Jeff Samardzija will have no trouble finding a team next year in his free agent year. When you're 6'5" and you're 220 and you have stuff like his, teams will take a chance on that any day of the week. Now certainly they'll look at the numbers, but you know, there's a ton of scouts at all these games. They're all watching, looking for players. Is it Samardzija has that competitiveness we talked about, but he also has the stuff. I like big, strong guys to be starting pitchers.
Broken bat. Sanchez can't run it down. So it evens out for Rios. He lined to center field for an out in the 2nd inning, and now he bloops one to center for a single in the 5th.
But he stayed inside of the ball. I like that. Dump it out there and Center field. Good swing.
So I agree, Hud. Samardzija will have a lot of teams that want him, but to what degree? He is 30 years old. He's 46 and 61. Now, we're in an era now where wins and losses don't carry as much weight as they used to, but that's 15 games under 500 and a career ERA that is over 4, which isn't horrible. But this year, his ERA is over 5.
Yeah, you know, he may not command top dollar, but there's going to be plenty of suitors for him. It's just the whole makeup. Thing that they look for. Innings eaters, guys that they're durable, they're strong.
1-1 to Escobar.
Royals want to continue to try to stay within themselves, look for their pitch up, but also don't try to jump out there too quick and hit a big homer. Just line them up, keep the line moving, find the holes. Something going. Avisail Garcia, he loves to play shallow in right field whenever Escobar's up, because he knows when he gets a base hit to right field, Escobar, that it's usually not going to be over his head, it's going to be in front of him. He can throw 16 outfield assists.
Rios runs, and the Royals tried a rare hit and run.
It's a good idea. Trying to make something happen. Esky, really, he had a big swing for a short, compact situation with your stroke run, just trying to hit that hole.
Maybe that was a straight steal. He never looked in at home plate.
Because Escobar's swing was not a hit and run type swing.
Up to this one. 2 down. Samardzija's had trouble at home this year, and in his last 7 home starts, he has lost all 7, and his ERA is over 10. Last time a White Sox pitcher lost 7 straight home games was 1969. Tommy John. And for some baseball fans, that's an actual major league pitcher, not just a surgical procedure. Tommy John in 1969 lost 7 straight at home, and none between him and Jeff Samardzija this year.
I could tell before the game started. I watched him out in the bullpen warming up, and he was really focused. He's got a lot of pride. He's pitching a good game so far against the Royals, holding them down. Two-seam fastball's got some good teeth to it. It's coming in on hitters, jamming them. Slider, cutters, and split fingers. Haven't seen too many split fingers from him.
Fair ball, out at first, inning over. Now the Royals have been scoreless for 17 consecutive innings.
big leaguer Vance Wilson, the manager of AA Northwest Arkansas for the Royals organization. Vance spent 8 years in the big leagues as a former catcher. He knows the game inside and out. Had a chance to talk with him today. He's very excited about the progress of prospects like Raul Mondesi and Bubba Starling, Kyle Zimmer. But this is a guy that really loves his job. He says he gets a chance to help mold 25 guys and get them on the right path to hopefully make it to the big leagues one day. Says that he works with these kids all the time, he and his staff, as we see the pop-up there, on just the things that will make major league champions. Base running, rounding first base the right way, how to get the right jump on a stolen base. All the little subtle things that can oftentimes be overlooked at the lower levels, so that when they're here, they are ready. And he said he's not afraid of the tough love. He absolutely will send the right message to these guys. And he really believes that baseball can teach a lot of life lessons. These are young kids he's working with, but the successes and the failures of baseball at that level, he believes, will oftentimes teach them the lessons of life later on.
You're exactly right, and he's the perfect fit for the future Royals players that are all there in AA. We're going to see a lot of those here in the future. Ball had eyes on it.
Sanchez walked with 2 outs and nobody on in the 3rd inning and scored the White Sox run, and that base hit puts an end to a personal 0 for 16.
Finally got a good swing. He took 3 swings against Cueto in his last at bat when Cueto walked him, and he didn't look good at all. He'll take that.
Back by Adam Eaton. He helped set up that Sox run in the 3rd with a single. Adam Eaton has 13 home runs this year. He had 1 last year, and his career high before this season was 3. 1 ball and 1 strike.
As you get a little bit older and you get some time in the league, you start understanding. You play every day. You're seeing a lot of pitches. You find out what pitches you can handle, and you can hit homers off of. They've been pitches that are elevated. It's not one of those guys that can take a ball off his shoe tops and drive it out. He's hitting balls like that.
And like that, ends up on the other side of the wall. 14 home runs for Adam Eaton. The season began, he had 6 career home runs.
Next, he's taking advantage of mistakes. There was one from Cueto. He's made a few. This one on pitches that are elevated, but this cutter or slider just stayed up there. Could have been a changeup. Like it was a changeup. It had a little bit of movement going away from him. So it was a changeup. It just hung up in the middle of the zone, and he one-handed it out of the park.
1-1 on Abreu. He drove in the White Sox first run with a single in the 3rd inning. He is 2 for 2. To Escobar. This will be a long throw from the grass. Not in time. The Royals will go to the phone and see what Bill Duplessis thinks. Royals replay coordinator in the clubhouse. Don Wakamatsu tells Ned Yost to challenge. And Angel Hernandez, the first base umpire who made the call, and Ted Barrett, the third base umpire, the crew chief. We'll see what New York has to say.
Love to watch Escobar make a play in the hole because he has the perfect throwing stroke. Stays right on top. gets a lot on it, and he tries to one-hop Hosmer. That keeps him away from throwing the ball away up. Watch how he gets his momentum, taps his glove, and just unloads. That looked like to me he got him. Angels sitting right there on the call. Let's take another peek at it.
He's out. And that's what Ted Barrett says. Well, 2 down. And now Melky Cabrera. Cueto's gotten some key outs against Cabrera tonight. 1 on, 1 out in the first inning. Cueto got Cabrera to ground into a double play. And with 2 on and 2 out into third, right after the White Sox had scored their first run, Cueto struck him out. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul tip, 1 and 2. Center field. Melky Cabrera gets a base hit with 2 outs. And let's see if he hugs Eric Hosmer. Maybe if Hosmer will walk away and not let that happen.
Well, he's been pitching Cabrera up most of the game, and he just was looking for it up there. He just put a nice easy swing on it and wanted to get that lousy base hit. Job of staying on top of it.
Now Thompson grounds to Moustakas, and the throw to first ends the inning. White Sox get 2 more. The Royals offense needs to get going. They've been scoreless in 17 consecutive innings. Morales, Mike Moustakas, good candidates for a Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Tammy Adams from Independence, Missouri. And if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Tammy wins $1,700. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Tammy wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Time for Sonic to give away some money. They're getting plenty of hits, or excuse me, getting plenty of pitches to hit from Samardzija, but the Royals seem to be pressing a little bit, trying to pull everything. Just string together a few good hits here, get a big one, knock in some.
2-0. It's interesting. Samardzija, maybe Soto wanted to go out there and use that pad with spikes behind the mound to clean off his shoes. I mean, the way Samardzija's pitched tonight, you missed 2-0. That's a little early for a catcher to go out to the mound.
You'd think. I think he's trying to talk Alex, talking him into a cookie. There's one on the outer half.
Samardzija's retired 11 of the last 12 Royals. Overran it. That ball almost ended up fair.
You know, that wind, it's a nice little wind tunnel up above the stadium. That ball gets up there, that ball pushes it back. Plus with the spin that Alex gets on the ball, way off of that. Now that gives Alex another chance.
Still 2-2.
And the Royals, they're getting what they like, and that's hard fastballs for the most part from Samardzija. Great fastball hitting team. Samardzija, who's living that fine line up in the top of the strike zone. Getting a lot of pop-ups.
Up the line, fumbled by Abreu, and he connects with Samardzija for the out. This is a much better matchup for the Royals compared to last night. Kyle Hendricks, who had that great changeup working. But so far, the Royals have just 4 singles in 5 1/3 innings. Lorenzo Cain has had an excellent year and a very good career against the White Sox, so he's a player to watch at DraftKings.com. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal, and you can play daily fantasy baseball for free. Line foul back into the crowd. Lorenzo tonight is flied to right field and struck out. Samardzija looks like a guy who could throw a ball through a concrete wall and would have big strikeout numbers. But even in his one-hitter in his last start at Detroit, he went all 9 innings. He struck out 6. And tonight, pitching very well, he has only struck out 2. Hit well to right field. And Garcia makes the play. And there are 2 down. Samardzija's ERA against the Royals before tonight was 8.15. Hit well to left field. Back goes Thompson, and it's gone. Eric Hosmer hits his 17th, and the Royals are on the board for the first time since Sunday. And congratulations to Tammy Adams. $1,700 is coming your way on Eric Hosmer's 17th home run of the year.
Nice. I like how the numbers all match up. Congratulations. Sonic's proud to be able to give you the money, but Hosmer's even more proud of that good level swing on a high fastball. finally, a Royals hitter figured out how to stay on top of a Samardzija fastball that's up in the zone.
Royals have gone 17 consecutive innings since the end of the game on Sunday without a run. Want to know on Kendrys Morales, he has flied out twice. Hole into the Royals dugout. That was the 28th home run allowed by Samardzija this year. Left center field, that's well hit. Thompson is back, and that one's gone. Back to back. Kendrys Morales hits his 22nd. It is a one-run game. Royals fans go nuts. They outnumber White Sox fans tonight by at least 2-1, maybe even 3-1. And that's another $100 to Tammy Adams from Independence, Missouri in our Sonic Slam inning.
Way to go, Tammy. Now, I know you didn't have a lot to do with it, but Morales sure did, and Hosmer. Couple solo shots. That ball's on the outer half of the plate. Morales is able to wait. He's got plenty of strength to go opposite field from the left side. And here come the crowd.
First time the Royals have gone back-to-back since July of last season. And now Mike Moustakas trying to make it 3 consecutive home runs. In case you're wondering, and I know you are, last time the Royals went back-to-back was in 06. And I'll give you $10 million if you can name one of the 3. Not you, Holtzy. I'm talking to Hood.
Yeah, that's not fair. Oh, he got him there.
Too late. Inning over. Royals get back-to-back. Hosmer and Morales go deep, so a 3-run deficit is now a 1-run deficit. And both Hosmer and Morales go to the opposite field. To make it a 1-run game, so this is a big half inning for Johnny Cueto to keep the deficit at 1. And misses to Alexei Ramirez. The last time the Royals went back-to-back before tonight was July of last year. And that was Salvador Perez and Mike Moustakas against the Indians. The last time the Royals went back-to-back was in 06. And I gave HUD a $10 million opportunity to name one. And I only said that because I'll bet a lot of Royals fans would have difficulty with this one. But here it is. May of 2006 against the Tigers in the first inning. Tony Graffinino. Followed by Angel Baroa. That was probably the easiest. And Doug Minkiewicz. Graffinino, Baroa, and Minkiewicz. And it's just foul. And it's still 2-2 on Ramirez.
First inning.
First inning.
Hello. That's putting him on the board early.
Off to the first base side. It'll be Ramirez, Garcia, and Soto. Grounded to Moustakas. Snags it with the backhand. One away. Johnny Cueto gave up 1 run in the 3rd inning. 2-out single to Abreu. And then he allowed a 2-run home run to Eaton in the 5th. In the 4th inning, he was in trouble. The White Sox had runners at 1st and 2nd and nobody out. And he got a big double play from the man at the plate right now, Avisail Garcia. Cueto has got 2 ground ball double plays tonight.
And that pitch there, that 2-seam running fastball, starts in the middle of the plate and ends up off the plate into righties, is a good pitch for him.
Escobar gets a big hop. Close play, 2 down. Garcia can really run for a big guy.
This is what Johnny Cueto wants. Your team gets you 2 runs, got some momentum, keep that momentum. Hit him 1, 2, 3. Watch him go now. Wow, that's competing. You become a runner once you leave that batter's box. One little mistake by the fielder, you're on base.
2-0 on Soto. He is 0 for 2. Cueto is at 100 pitches. Full count. Outside. Well, Royals hope this doesn't turn into anything, but back in the 3rd inning with 2 outs and nobody on, Cueto walked Carlos Sanchez, who was hitting .226 and was 0 for his last 16, and that turned into a run. And now in the 6th inning with 2 outs and nobody out, Cueto walked Soto, who's hitting .219 and was 0 for 2 tonight. And now Danny Duffy grabs a baseball and will start warming up. It's Mike Holt takes outside, ball 1. and 1 strike. White Sox have a hole at third base. They have tried Tyler Saladino there. Saladino may end up being their shortstop next year. Now they're giving Mike Holt a look. He was a big third base prospect in the Rangers organization, a former first-round pick, but he was blocked by Adrian Beltre. Traded to the Cubs, but Chris Bryant was on the way. It's outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. So his star has really fallen in the last 2 or 3 years, and he was claimed off of waivers by the Cubs.
Well, as long as you have a uniform, you've got a chance. You just have to really have that internal fire, and you got to be able to slow the game down and produce. That's the bottom line. If you're giving him an opportunity now, he wants to run with it.
His name came up quite a bit in spring training and early in the regular season. He was the third baseman the Cubs were going to go with instead of Chris Bryant, who had that huge spring training. But then he broke his hand. He was hit by a pitch. He went down. Bryant came up. And that was it for Mike Holt with the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, and Bryant, what he hit 8 spring training home runs, something like that. And he might have hit more than that.
Holt strikes out. Cueto works around the 2-out walk this time, so he gets a scoreless inning right after the Royals score 2. And at the end of 6, the Royals are down by 1. MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Cool night in Chicago, 59 degrees at first pitch. It was 79 degrees last night when the Royals played at Wrigley Field. There's a better chance if you're a kid and you're skipping school and you have a sign that says "Don't tell my teacher" than you are if you're a teacher that's holding a sign saying you're skipping school and don't tell the kids.
Yeah, that's what they have substitute teachers for. So that young lady, she's okay. We're happy you're here.
There you go. A day of heads up 7-up. Sal is 1 for 2 against Samardzija. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Do you know Bob Brenly, the broadcaster?
Yep.
Son of Diamondbacks.
Former manager.
Yeah, former manager, former major league player. He was a student, a substitute teacher for me in PE in high school.
Really?
Yeah. Nice hit there. Salvi reached out, got him an off-speed pitch, and he raked it to left.
I never heard that before.
Yeah. And Bob Brenly, he's the one who brought it up. He reminded me of it, and I remember him taking roll. And of course, he remembered something I did when I was in his class. Of course, I was kind of a class clown guy anyway, but PE, you know, anything goes. But Bob Brenly, he's quite the guy, man. I didn't remember him that much.
Just what Samardzija needed, and what the Royals wanted to avoid. Rios grounds into a double play. Johnny Cueto's had a couple of important ground ball double plays tonight, and now Samardzija, who's up over 100 pitches, gets his first. Zach Duke looks like he's ready to go in the White Sox bullpen. Duffy has been throwing this entire inning in the Royals bullpen, as Cueto is up over 100 pitches. One to Escobar. He is lined out to center field and popped out to second base.
Keep that focus up the middle and to the right side like he's been doing.
1-2. Royals were scoreless for the first 5 innings in 17 consecutive innings going back to Sunday, and with 2 outs and nobody on in the 6th inning and down 3-0. Eric Hosmer and Kendrys Morales hit back-to-back home runs. Chop to the right side. Sanchez gloves, flips with the glove, and not in time. Escobar has an infield hit.
Thank you, and it keeps the streak alive. That's a beauty off the bat. That ball bounced so high. I know Escobar, he was seeing base hit all over that. Sanchez, absolutely no chance to flip it out of your glove the way he flipped it. If you turn your glove over and you shovel it, it'll get there quicker, but he tried to flip it like that, and there's no chance. If he would have stayed with it with his thumbs out, flipped it, he would have had a better chance. It's the 141st infield hit by the Royals this year, which is 4th in the American League.
Zobrist gets a 4th at bat against Samardzija. Zobrist hesitated going to the plate, as if he was expecting Robin Ventura to go out and bring in the lefty Duke. Zobrist has struck out, and twice he has grounded out to the first baseman Abreu. Very high. The wind continues to push it toward the crowd, and it's back into the 4th row. So the wind, if it's hit high enough, is clearly blowing left to right. We saw a ball a few innings ago that was on its way to the seats on the third base side, and the wind blew it back onto the field. And this one was up the line, and the wind just continued to blow it to the right.
Yeah, man, it's a good thing that went foul, giving Zobrist another chance. He's got the right idea. Pull him out of here.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Maybe it's time for Zobrist to put a do not disturb sign on his bat. Whenever he gently sets the bat down after contact, he says it's after solid contact. Not necessarily a homer, but whenever he hits a home run, he reaches down and just barely sets that bat down.
The bat has done its job. There's no reason to drop it on the ground.
No, he sets it down.
But if the bat doesn't do its job, then he will drop it.
He will.
Left center field. That is caught by Thompson. Wow. That catch may have saved the game.
Oh, ball was slicing back to him. Full extension. He outran it. Great play.
Around the league, and Toronto, we told you, postponed. They'll play a doubleheader tomorrow. Same for Minnesota and Cleveland. Oakland and LA just getting underway. Same for Houston and Seattle. Both of those teams have a shot still to win the American League West. The Rangers starting to scuffle some, but here's a home run from Shin-Soo Choo. And Texas right now trying to hang on to a 7-6 lead. How about the line on Cole Hamels so far? 5 innings, 6 hits, and 6 runs here at U.S. Cellular. It'll be our second straight post-game show in Chicago from 2 different venues. We'll talk about the game, Johnny Cueto's night, see if the Royals can get some more offense going. Comments from Ned Yost, and perhaps talk a little bit about Danny Duffy.
And Duffy's first pitch to Carlos Sanchez is in for a strike. My goodness, how about that catch by Trace Thompson?
That was beautiful. It didn't look like he had a chance to catch that ball. Off the bat, split between Eaton and Thompson, and that's what good speed does.
Duffy will get Sanchez, Eaton, and Abreu. White Sox, for really 3 consecutive years, have just been bad defensively. And Thompson has really given them some hope that they can improve in that category, and they have played outstanding defense against the Royals in the last 4 games. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sanchez has reached twice and scored twice. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Duffy with that good power fastball. He's just challenging right here. Got a nice breaking ball and a good changeup, but out of the pin, he can go pedal to the metal.
Fastball in on the hands at 97.
See, no longer Duffy doesn't have to worry about those guys taxing his pitch count now out of the bullpen. He's in a different role. He just go up there and keep challenging hitters, keep it down, use that defense like he's used to doing when he starts.
Up the middle. Zobrist backhands, throws, and it's offline. It needs to stay in play, and it does. The ball almost bounced into the Royals dugout. Sanchez is on to begin the 7th inning.
I didn't think Zobrist had any kind of a chance at all to get to that ball, let alone make a play on it. Oh, it was hit hard. Of course, it hit the mound. That slowed it down some. And in order to make that play successfully, you really have to get on top of the release point, and he didn't quite make it there. Now, I'm not so sure he would have got him anyway. Great effort.
Adam Eaton, his swing in the 5th inning is the difference in the game. Eaton hit a 2-run home run on a changeup against Cueto in the 5th inning, driving in Sanchez. And that gave the White Sox a 3-0 lead. The Royals got 2 in the 5th on back-to-back homers from Hosmer and Morales. Very high, 1 ball and no strikes. It was Eaton's 14th home run of the year. He had 1 last year. 1 home run in 486 at-bats. 1 ball and 1 strike. Small sample size, but so far so good for Danny Duffy out of the bullpen. He has not allowed an earned run, and opponents are hitting 105 against him. You know, it's interesting to think about what his role might be, because when he first went to the bullpen, it's easy to think, okay, long reliever, starter has an off game in a postseason game. You bring Duffy in, you can bring him in the 4th inning, 5th inning. He could give you 2, 3, 4 innings. And in fact, his first relief appearance was 4 innings at Detroit. Now he's starting to look like a guy you could bring in the 7th inning.
No question about it. He's got a tremendous arm, and that fastball. You don't see a lot of lefties coming out of the bullpen throwing 97 miles an hour. Good curveball. So you know he's an extremely valuable piece heading into playoffs for sure. And it just goes back to, you know, Dayton Moore stockpiling starters. You know, you can never have too many starters, especially veteran guys that have been there and done it. And we've seen Guthrie and Chris Young get opportunities to start. Looks like Young's going to win that one.
Out at second. Fast runner, no double play. The Royals do get the lead runner.
Yeah, Eaton's only grounded into 5 double plays this year. A lot of largely because he's on the left side of that batter's box and he runs. Unless he hits it right on the nose of somebody, you're not going to double him up. Eaton has 17 steals this year. Has been caught 8 times, but he may go wants to keep Abreu from hitting into a double play ball. Abreu's grounded to 16.
Strike. Abreu drove in a run in the third inning, so now he is 1 home run and 2 RBIs away from joining Albert Pujols. He's the only 2 players ever with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs in their first 2 seasons. And I think it's a little more impressive for Pujols because came up through junior college and through traditionally a minor league system, whereas Abreu, you can call him an amateur as long as you want, but he was a professional baseball at a very high level for many years in Cuba. Great accomplishment on both sides, don't get me wrong, but the Pujols one really stands out. Now 1 home run and 2 RBIs away from joining Pujols, and he has a lot of the same mannerisms as Albert Pujols when he's at the plate.
Looks like it. Stays inside of the ball, maybe a little bit more than Albert, but they are similar. And you know, it's like Ichiro Suzuki. You know, he played in Japan. That's a good league in Japan too. So those guys have had a lot of experience facing top of the line pitchers. So I get your point on that. Duffy wants to induce his 18th ground ball double play this year.
Eaton got a good jump on that ball in the dirt. Almost as if he was anticipating a ball in the dirt.
That's why I expect he'd be going with the double play numbers like they are. That ball was way down in the dirt. Salvi gloves it and takes it to his throwing hand. Didn't barehand it. That's some kind of quickness there by Salvi. Zorba's keeping the tag on him long enough in case his foot comes off the base.
And with an RBI tonight, Abreu has 205 in his first 2 years with the White Sox. That is a team record. He is 2 home runs shy of Ron Kittle's franchise record of 67 in his first 2 seasons. And I remember many people thought, why in the world are the White Sox giving that much money to Jose Abreu? Thought that he wouldn't be able to hit major league pitching. The Cuban season is a lot shorter than the big league season. Would he be able to make it through 162 games? Could he play first base? Still 2-2.
And Duffy's got his work cut out for him here. He's got Abreu in swing mode on his curve and his fastball. Hoping he hits it at somebody. One of the reasons Abreu's hitting so high for an average, 290 coming in, is he uses the whole field. It's a lot to the right side.
On to Escobar. Eaton goes back to second base, and there are 2 outs. And as we promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. It was sent in by Jill. That looks like, I think that looks like Detroit. We say that's at Comerica Park. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
Now there's orange in the stands.
Maybe Baltimore.
Could be.
But Detroit uses orange as well.
You're right. It's a good guess.
Melky Cabrera is 1 for 3. Those at bats against Johnny Cueto.
Melky, a .244 hitter from the right side.
One. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with it. I love those M&Ms.
Peanuts or no peanuts?
Peanuts.
Holtzy and I went out to get a bite to eat with Joe Lavero first night we got here.
Yep.
Which would have been Sunday night. And we ran into Marlins man in the lobby.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy that wore that Marlins jacket every postseason game and sat right behind home plate.
Right.
Okay. I remember.
Yep. So he doesn't just wear it. And by the way, how did I know it was Marlins man? Because apparently he wears that all the time, not just to games when he's trying to draw attention to himself. He wore it in the hotel lobby. He got in the elevator with us. Melky strikes out on a fastball at his eyes. Danny Duffy comes on and pitches a scoreless bottom of the 7th inning. Alex Gordon, Lorenzo Cain, and Eric Hosmer coming up in the 8th inning. The Royals are down by 1. Trace Thompson play in the 7th inning. Here's Thompson's night, our sprint cuts of the game.
Oh, Lorenzo Cain robbed him. No question about that. Moustakas, the same inning. Pick him up. This game would be tied if it wasn't for that athleticism there. Look at that hang time. Beauty. Samardzija owes him a steak dinner for that catch. Or maybe fish. He may not be a meat guy.
This is Matt Albers to pitch the top of the 8th inning. Samardzija goes 7 innings. He gives up 2 runs on 8 hits. And Albers will get Gordon, Cain, and Hosmer.
Albers has been really good. His ball moves all over the place. He's got a sinker at 90 to 95. Good slider, changeup. Veteran pitcher that has really found his groove.
0-2 on Alex. When you think of that brawl between the Royals and the White Sox here at U.S. Cellular Field, the names that might come to mind: Lorenzo Cain, Jeff Samardzija, Yordano Ventura, Adam Eaton. But Matt Albers, as the players were getting tangled up, he broke a finger on his right hand and had to go on the disabled list. So the White Sox have not gotten a whole lot out of Matt Albers this year because of that injury. He's pitching in just his 29th game. Soto, who's played most of his major league career here in Chicago, handled that very calmly. One down.
Yeah, this is quite an adjustment for a catcher, but obviously Soto, he's a good athlete. He's able to handle that and keep his eye on it. Most catchers know pop-ups behind the plate, the ball comes back towards the playing field, but with that wind, it came back a little further than he expected. Good adjustment.
Back to Albers on one hop. Cain is 0 for 4. Albers might want to mark his calendar for April 25th of next year, because he's gone on the disabled list on April 25th in back-to-back years. Last year with a right shoulder problem, and this year with his broken finger.
Well, he hasn't allowed an earned run over his last 19 games. So he's been exactly what Ventura, the skipper, wants. I can come in, that movement, keeping that sinker down, good two-seam tailing away, and he's finding himself pitching in prominent setup role.
Little low. Soto wasn't convinced, and he held it out there for Adam Hammery.
Oh, that's exactly where you want to put it.
Two and two.
Looks to me like Soto has his glove attached at his wrist with a Velcro.
Noticed
strap.
that.
Yeah, he took his glove off and it was hanging from his wrist. Yeah, you can see he's got a little deal right there. I have to ask him about that.
Base hit for Hosmer. Well, he's on with 2 outs, and that means Kendrys Morales comes to the plate.
Second opposite field hit for Hosmer tonight. That first one went over the went over the left field fence for his 17th home run. This one here, he picks a nice pitch away and went with it.
And here comes Robin Ventura. He's going to call on the lefty to make Kendrys Morales bat right-handed. So Zach Duke, who's been warming up for a couple of innings, comes on with a runner at first, 2 down. The Royals are down by 1. Game is Sunday, but Fox Sports Kansas City will have you covered during the postseason as well. The Boulevard Royals Live postgame show will be here on Fox Sports Kansas City after every playoff game. Joel, Monty, Rex, and I will break down the games. For home games, we'll be at Kauffman Stadium. When the Royals are on the road, we'll anchor from the Power and Light District. It's the postseason coverage you'd expect from your home of the Royals, Fox Sports Kansas City. Zach Duke comes on for the 70th time. He'll flip Morales over to the right side with Hosmer at first, 2 down.
Morales 0 for 5 in his career off of Zach Duke. Duke has given up a .241 average to right-handed bats with 6 home runs against him. Sinker, slider, changeup. A couple different arm angles he'll use. He'll work those changeups on the righties.
Look at that sea of blue. Everyone else tonight is dressed up as a green seat. No swing, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Duke is putting that ball exactly where he wants it. You don't want to leave anything up out in the middle. That's for sure. It's not overpowering. He'll go 88 to 92.
And now 3 balls and 1 strike. Ball 4. So Hosmer, the time run, goes into scoring position. And the go-ahead run is on.
I don't think Duke wanted any part of Morales there, so he kept everything on the outer half, hoping he would swing. Good walk. Moose 1 for 4 in his career off of Duke.
Ball is outside. Now, this is where the new Mike Moustakas is more dangerous, because he's not afraid to go up the middle or slap that ball to the opposite field. Mike Moustakas last year, in a situation like this, he would be muscling up to pull the ball to the right side. He's either going to get a hit to the right side or he's going to get a base hit to the right side. But now the White Sox are forced to fan out because of his ability to hit to all fields.
Alexei Ramirez, he snuck in behind Hosmer, startled him a little bit, got Hosmer thinking back to the bag, but he's got to get a good lead there, especially in the secondary lead. That's the lead on the pitch.
Oh, my goodness! Who are these guys?
Wow. Beautiful stroke and a nice play by all.
Sox this year played defensively many games like the White Sox have played against the Royals tonight, and really the way they played against the Royals the last 4 games. The Royals got up to a 10-3 start against Chicago. They swept the Royals in KC in early September with great defense, and they've had 2 game-saving plays again tonight.
Sure have. Continuing to give the Royals a little bit of a dose of their own medicine.
One of those great plays was turned in by Trace Thompson. A diving play in the 7th inning on Ben Zobrist with Escobar at first base. That would have tied the game. Thompson was robbed himself in the 2nd inning on a great play by Kane up against the wall in center field. At the plate, he is 1 for 3 tonight. All those at bats against Johnny Cueto. And in the 8th, he faces Jabba Chamberlain as Lorenzo Cain. He came very close to taking a home run away from Thompson. It may have hit the top of the wall and gone over, but at the very least took an extra base hit away from him.
It looked to me like it would have hit the top and went over, but King took care of that question with another great Gold Glove catch.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Thompson, Ramirez, and Garcia for the White Sox in the 8th inning. Leadoff walk. Thompson has very good speed.
Well, this looks like a pretty good pitch. It's a bit low.
That consistently tonight has not been part of Adam Hammery's strike zone for both sides. Not calling that pitch for Jeff Samardzija either. Otherwise, neither side has really had much trouble with his strike zone. There's a breaking ball strike to Alexei Ramirez.
Another close game between these 2 teams. 11 of the 16 games have been decided by 3 runs or less, including 6 1-run games. So a lot of tight ball games here. That defense has made it even closer. Preventing runs, saving runs.
That's going to go to the wall. Thompson scores. Ramirez goes to second, and Chicago leads 4-2.
Fastball right down the middle, 95. Split the gap with no problem. Thompson at first base, that's an easy score.
Garcia, he is 0 for 3 tonight with 3 ground balls, 1 a ground ball double play. Popped up. Zobrist goes out. Rios comes over from right, and that's out number 1. Well, the Royals were hopeful that the reunion of Jabba Chamberlain and Dave Island would get him back on track. Chamberlain had some of his best years with the Yankees with Dave Island as his pitching coach, including 2009 when they both won a World Series. J.B. Shuck is batting for Giovanni Soto. And now Chamberlain, as a Royal, has pitched 5 innings and given up 5 runs. That is just foul. 0-2.
Yep. Just too much in the middle of the plate. Command out on the corners and down. And the hitters let you know that. If you're up.
That'll give Ramirez to third. And now the Royals will be forced to bring the infield in.
Ball was not a strike. I'm a little surprised it registered on our Fox grid there, our track.
Shuck, strike 3 call and a fastball at 96. And that pitch was down. He hasn't been calling pitches like that, strikes all night. Let's see where it shows up in the grid.
Yeah, that's a beautiful pitch there by Chamberlain. That's what he wants. Execute those pitches on the corners and you get good results.
Shuck is upset. Here's Mike Alt. He made the other game-saving play. That was in the top half of this inning. The Royals had 2 on with 2 out. And Mike Moustakas hit a blur to the left side of the infield. The ball was headed for left field, and Mike Alt made a great play to end the inning and save a run. And now the White Sox have come back in the bottom of the 8th to add on a run, and David Robertson is getting ready for the top of the 9th. That saved a run. Two and two. Royals have Salvador Perez, Alex Rios, and Alcides Escobar coming up in the 9th inning. Inning over, but a leadoff walk followed by a double gives the White Sox some insurance in the bottom of the 8th. may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler with Joe Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery. U.S. Cellular Field on the south side of Chicago with producer Joe Lavero, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro.
All right, a lot of key plays tonight, but this one here definitely saved a run. Escobar was on first base. He was rounding second. That ball would have hit the green grass. It would have been another run. And here's 1-2. Osmer in scoring position. Moose with a great swing. Going the opposite field against the lefty. Just not the Royals' night so far. They've got 3 outs left to see if they can do it to a closer that's been struggling some.
David Robertson in his first year as White Sox closer. Tyler Saladino takes over at third base. And Rob Brantley is behind the plate.
Robertson's last 13 games, he's got a 6.11 ERA.
And then Shuck stays in the game in right field.
Fastball, curve. And it's a straight fastball. It's not overpowering either. He might touch some 95, but he's not a guy that's upper 90s. He can be hit. See that ERA at 3.28. He's allowed 6 home runs. It's a high number for a closer.
Just inside, 2 balls, 1 strike. Sal has 2 hits. Singles to center field and left field. And now 3-1.
Salvi knows he's going to get a fastball right here. Don't try to be too quick. Jump out. Just put an easy swing on him. Get on base.
May have been ball 4.
This borderline is in. Yep, that was ball 4. Salvi's awfully aggressive. Tough to walk. He's got just 13 and 512 at bats.
To pop it up. Sanchez with Eaton behind him. And Sanchez makes the play. The wind got a hold of that one. Rios is 3 for 8 with a triple and a walk against Robertson. He is 1 for 3 tonight. And that's hit in the air to shallow center. And again, it's Sanchez. And there are 2 down. Yeah, I'm looking at my scorecard right now. And the Royals are 1 out away from dropping to 10 and 17 in September, and I'm looking at wasted opportunities, Hud. And the Royals in their last few games have not been scoring runs, but they have been scoring runs for the most part in September. There's a strike to Alcides Escobar. Royals had 2 on, 1 out in the second inning. The next 2 batters both lined to center.
Yep.
And they had the 2 home runs in the 6th. In the 7th inning, Escobar was at first with 2 down, and Zobrist lined one to the gap in left center field, and Thompson made an amazing play. That saved a run. In the 8th inning, with 2 outs and nobody on, the Royals got a single and a walk, and then Moustakas lined one toward left, and Olt made an amazing play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So to this point, with 1 strike to go tonight, the White Sox were just better than the Royals.
They were.
And that's the ball game. The White Sox, for the most part, have been awful defensively the past 3 years. 28th in the major leagues coming into tonight in defensive run save, if you put much stock in that stat. Last year, they were 20.